So today on Project Shop, we got a couple AC compressors. We're gonna drain the oil. We're gonna keep that oil and we're gonna use it for lubing the blade, and maybe even cutting oil. We'll see how it goes. But we're gonna drain them. We're gonna use the plasma cutter. We're gonna cut them open. Now, I've never cut these before, and I've seen people that do cut them. They cut and they do like a weird cut on them. I don't know. We're just gonna work on one of them at a time, see how it goes. Plasma cutter shouldn't make light work of this. We got one more over there, and then the stators that we get out of them, you know, they're going to be smaller, like on this scale here. And the problem I have with these smaller size ones is I need to make an adapter because they don't fit up in here and they're kind of too. So what I'm going to do is make some V's like this, one that'll be on the bottom and one that'll be on the top like this, that I can come down. The one on the bottom, I'm actually going to bring up, you know, probably about 5-6 inches maybe, so that I have a full range of my puller. And then we'll bring this down a little bit, and then, you know, we should have a good thing. Now, I was looking around. Like I said, we're always, you know, trying to repurpose stuff, and I don't have straight up angle that would be useful. So yesterday I went and picked up some, oh, let me grab that. So yesterday I went and picked up a light pole, or sections of a light pole. So this is actually a light pole here. I was gonna cut this down here and get 2 V's out of it, you know, which would work pretty good. Probably would be okay doing it with that. But yesterday I just happened to pick up a bigger light pole, thicker material, which is going to be better for what we need. So we'll be able to get a good section out of that, much more weldable. And then we got to figure out how we're going to adapt it to what we need. So we got some new stock over here that I picked up. That's for a welding project I'm doing. And then we picked up a bunch of these old fluorescent lights. Funny thing about them, pretty sure those are extrusion. So, oh, and then we got these ladders. Unfortunately, these ladders were good, but the customer cut them in half. So, unfortunately, now they're not good. Okay, this is where we're at. I cut the 2 pieces, right? And what I'm gonna wind up doing is welding something to this face so that it just sticks out a little bit. I mean, we only need a little bit to hold this, and we're gonna get a lot of coverage on here, as you can see. Squeezing from the top and bottom, we'll be able to get a lot of that. Now, what I'm gonna do is cut 2 pieces of this, probably 2 4-inch pieces or whatever, and then I'll weld that down in there like that, and then we're gonna weld them to 2 flat plates. Now, I ran out of flat plate. I welded those V-blocks, but I do have a pile of these discs of various sizes that I've had for a while that I actually pulled out of a dumpster. This one is 2.5 inch thick, 2.5 inch thick. That one's like 1 inch thick. These are 1/2 inch, and I got another 2-inch big boy plate back there. I think that big boy plate in the back, it's one of the biggest ones. I think that's what I'm going to make my giant guillotine out of. But these ones with the holes cut out, I really don't have much of a use for it other than what I'm about to do. I need some 6 1/8 by 10.5 inch long plates. So I'm just going to cut them out of here. This will be 1/2 inch. This will slide in that groove. Hopefully it won't warp. And then what we're gonna have to do is figure some type of fastening system for the bottom here. Now that plate is thick enough, I can drill and tap it if I want. We might go that route, but we're gonna need to have this. This will be, you know, like a 4-inch section will be on the 10-inch plate, or whatever size plate I decide for the bottom. Maybe it'll be bigger, I don't know. And then there'll be a piece of this, and then a piece of this holding this up in the air, and then there'll be something similar up on the top side there, clamping down. And then we're pretty much got most of the jigs for pulling these. We're just gonna have to make a couple more things. We're gonna have to make something for this. We're gonna need a real hard piece of steel or something. I actually almost think that splitter, I might be able to do this with the splitter. Now looking at this, if I run that splitter down in the center here, we're gonna try it. You know, we're gonna risk it for the biscuit. If I can split that in the middle, it'll be a lot easier pulling these out the side, and a lot quicker than trying to plasma cut and pry these up. As much as that'd be nice to pull them off in one coil. Look at that gap there. Those are all plates, so even if I come down in there, it's just gonna push them plates. We're gonna at least try it once. I think I can come down right in the center there, and just hopefully that splitter is wide enough to where it'll go deep enough. But the way that I seen dude had it, he didn't have a blade like that. He had a flat blade, and he just came straight down into here and just buried it until it just about hit that shaft, and then he yanked these out from either side. So that's going to be an interesting thing to try. I mean, maybe I think some of this steel is actually higher quality. We might be able to make a nice flat blade out of this stuff. I don't know. I need to get my shell mill fixed for the milling machine so I can mill a bunch of this stuff off, and not, last time I did it with a grinder, and there's a video making a custom homemade splitter. I replicated that blade just about perfect, man, and polished it, and it worked pretty good. So, and that was just at a mild steel. And another thing, we're cutting these with the plasma cutter, this Best Arc plasma cutter that was sent to me for free. Didn't come with the cup. So Steve made this, which I think he kind of cut it short, but what we were having problems with, it didn't come with the cup, and we're blowing tips up. These, I mean, I've never had a plasma cutter before, so I don't know. We're melting, and I thought it was because we were doing a 1/2-inch steel. That tip is probably still good, but these are getting kind of cooked. We might be able to fix them. But this other one in here, this one had a bad problem. That one blew up. So same thing was happening. What happened with me the other day with cutting the plate, it just wouldn't start. It was just hitting it with some electric, but it wasn't like blasting. So I don't know. I mean, this thing, you know where it came from. And I mean, for what I was doing with it, it was doing okay. I think the problem here is he's hitting some spots where it's coming against flat metal or chunks of steel behind, but we're just cutting in the wrong place. I don't know. I've never cut these before. I've seen a bunch of other people do it, and I think I'm going to go sit there and watch the video, because I think we're just cutting them in the wrong spot. So I'm going to go review some videos real quick, and then we'll see what happens. But looking at this, once I split that in half, man, we're going to get a nice chunk of copper. Real easy. Okay, this is what we learned. I just watched a video from Empire of Dirt, and that dude literally just cut around the bottom, maybe 1 inch off the bottom, and then there's a seam. He cut up the seam and then halfway around. Didn't even cut all the way around. But he had put a self-tapper on the top and was picking this thing up, which was pretty interesting. I kind of like that idea. I do have a cherry picker, or a, oh yeah, where's the cherry picker? Outside? Yeah. I mean, we could just use that. And I do have this chain hoist over here. We could put it on this I-beam and pick them up. I mean, we don't have a whole lot of them, but it would make it easier. But over here, try to cut that as straight as possible, and still got a little off. We'll get all the pieces cut, and then we'll just weld this thing together. I think on the base plate, I don't know how far across we could go. I hate cutting this stuff up, but 24 inch. Oh, we got enough we can go across. We can go all the way across, and then I could just use clamps. That way I don't have to drill into that plate. But then we're gonna have a huge contraption here. But I would only have to cut this like one time with a torch, and then make one precision cut for that. And I will see. What that guy want? I'll be the base clamp. You put 2 clamps out here. I don't think that's going to rock really. What do you think? Okay, here's where we're at. I'm not sure when the GoPro died, but I just kept on working because I wanted to get all the parts fabricated so that I can just start welding. This is what I got. I cut that big plate, big old disc I had down there, and I'm actually going to use that to make the rest of the parts. I like the right size for the splitter over there. Well, this is what I did. I actually messed one of them up. This one here is going to be the base plate. I just cut it wide enough I can just clamp the corners. It should sit flush against here somewhat. I forgot I had some weld back here so this didn't fold over. I might have to just, you know, grind out for that because I want this to sit flush here. What I did is I V'd this out. I cut this with the grinder because the plasma cutter and the torch, man, they don't make good cuts. All this stuff should realistically be milled, in my opinion. And I'm gonna run these and work out all the kinks and just get the process down and work this out. That way I can build the proper parts, because none of this is actually even proper. You know, this is just me kind of getting the concept down, because this is actually going to get moved over to there. I need a bigger plate that this is going to sit in, and then I'll actually be able to do all the proper stuff, because this actually needs to be taken off. This needs to be reinforced, and I have I-beams over there that are going to wrap this so that a 100-ton press or 100-ton cylinder doesn't destroy this 55-ton press. So anyway, what I got going on here is I cut that square into 2 angles, and then I V'd that out. Now, for a moment there, I had a lapse of judgment, and I was going to drop the V down in there like this, like that. So I cut it to fit down in there, and then I was going to cut this out. But then I decided I actually wanted them long, and I'm regretting not making these like 6 inches. But this is temporarily. So that one actually cut short. And what I'm going to do is just get it in here, probably like this. And then I'll like split the difference, and I'll fill in the gaps with the weld. But this one fits really nice, okay? And the one that fits nice I'm going to use for the bottom. That's going to hold it, basically. And then what I did is I took this flat bar, because I really didn't have anything else, and I didn't want it too thick. I wanted it kind of thin. And I'm going to weld these right here, right? With just a little, it's going to penetrate up just a little bit. It doesn't need much, just enough so that when this is in there, right? So that when that's in there, it's just going to hold that corner, okay? So that's going to be out like that. I still need to be able to grab these, okay? And I might need to make a smaller puller. But now that I built this like this, this is what I'm thinking. On the next one, I can make one V-block do 2 things, okay? I can make this V-block the splitter. And how I could do that is basically have it like this, right? So it really wouldn't matter on the pulling The only problem is, like on, like, you know, this would be good for smaller motors. I can put them in here, I could split them, and then I wouldn't have to move the jig. What I would do is, you know, I think if I positioned the thing right and all this right, these really ain't that big. I could put it in here, and even if it did come to the end, like some of these ones we just pulled out are actually really long, okay? I think they're gonna be like the longest ones, but I figure even that long, look at that, I'd still be able to split that right in half and still have more, you know? So I think what I'm gonna do is think on making a double thing like this. But I really need to think on how I want it mounted, and then I'm gonna definitely have to mount the splitter this way, because right now it's oriented in the wrong direction. Like, I never intended it to be this way. It's just how it came to be. It actually should be oriented like this when it's in there, and then I'll be able to have this for these motors like this size and maybe even a little bigger. I'll be able to just put this down there one time, split them all, split them really fast, and then just knock this out, drive this in there, and then get right to pulling. Like, it's not going to be that much of a different setup. I won't have to pull this out. Like, I won't have to pull that out and put this in. It could be one jig. Now, obviously, when I get into them big boys, like I was just cutting the other day, I'm going to have to pull this out, and then we're going to need, you know, I'm going to need something different down here. I'm going to have, maybe I'll make another plate like this that has small V. If you noticed on that one, I was just twisting the crap out of that stator. One thing I want to do is have a V like this for them big boys to sit in, but I kind of want something that's adjustable. Even if I put some slots in here and have it like my transformer press, so I can just push it over, you know? This is going to be a very versatile machine. It's going to do a lot. Like, even more than I've showed. Like, I haven't even showed you the coolest part of what this thing is going to do. Like, there's going to be something that this thing does that there's only one other machine in the world that I've seen do, okay? And it's going to be pretty badass. And it's going to be able to do any electric motor, any stator, any transformer, you know, just pretty much we're going to get it all. And then, now this, we might even be making custom blades for this, because, let me see, I can get that out of there. Oh, those are actually pieces of stainless. I want to get this blade. Let me see if I can do this. I want to see if I can get this blade. I think I'll be able to cut that. See, we have about an inch down in there. It's going to be close. The last thing I want to do is drive that blade into that shaft, but I guess I got to look on the backside. It's definitely going to be close. We're going to try one. We'll try it. If we can't get this to split. So what I'm thinking, these are laminated just like the other things. If I knock these out, we got to be careful. I don't think we'll get into that. But if I just plunge down, you know what? Even if I did 2 plunges, one right here, so I definitely split this, and then just moved over and plunged here. I don't know if getting here, we'll try it. Like, I think if I plunged in the middle of this, it's going to make this easier to pull halfway. Because if you've seen in them last videos where I was pulling some of them big ones that were really long, pulling that through all that stuff is tough, man. Even with the hydraulics, that is some tough stuff, man. But homeboy, he had, I mean, his rig, like, he had a rig like this where you can slide different adapters in. He probably had 6 different adapters that I seen him knock in and out really fast. So we're gonna be doing that. And then he even did these, right? See that seam? He literally just put that in there. He had an adapter hold that, and then he just grabbed this with those pullers, and he just pulled that off of there. He didn't use no cutters. At no time did I see the guy use a grinder, a plasma cutter, a welder, anything. And he was doing motors, alternators. There was one point where he was doing these big motors with the big bars, like they had big bars in it, almost like a bus bar. That's the only time I seen him use a cutter. He put these in like a roller and he cut them like out here so that there was a 1/2 inch. Then he had a beak. He was just pulling them slats out and pulling these little bars out. It was actually pretty cool. We'll get there one day, but for now, wow, this is heavier than it looks. For now, I'm gonna weld this up, and then I'm gonna really start thinking about this right here. This is what I need. I need this double contraption like this. This would actually be perfect. I have enough of this left over, okay? The problem is getting everything level from this side to this side. It's the plasma cutter and the grinder and everything. It's just not, you know, it's not as precise. It's gonna get us there. We're gonna be pulling this out here in a little bit, but we need to be putting the milling machine to work. As you can see, I got the ingot maker over here, and I got the ingot clamped down. This is just a test piece. I'm not gonna be doing anything with this one. This will forever be just like this, but this worked really well. I can get the top and all 4 sides, and then I'll have to flip it, cut these off, and then that's where the custom jaws are going to come in to grab the side and not the corner. I need it to grab here and it sit on the finished edge. So stay tuned for all that. I just got some heavy aluminum. I'm going to melt the last of the stuff I had, get the process down, and then I'm going to make one for my customer. I don't know if I want to weld that or what. There's probably a bunch of oil under there. I was thinking about just drilling the holes and putting up. I was looking for smaller ones, but I had a bunch of these. But I was looking for some smaller ones that I can just put in there, and then when I'm ready to punch it out, just tighten them up and push it out. Anyway, we're going to get on some welding. I'm just going to time lapse it because the camera keeps shutting off and getting hot. And you can basically see what I'm doing here. And then as soon as I'm done, man, we're going to be splitting and pulling. We got a bunch of stuff to pull. We already split these. It's going to be interesting to see if I can liberate all this stuff. And then we're going to do these big boys right here. We'll try to get those split while we're going to do all the split in at once. And then we'll put that thing up in there. We might even be able to put that in that. I don't know. Definitely going to have to get a double one. It's funny how I cut this and left it big like that because it's literally to the size we need. And probably when that's sitting in here, it'll be center here, kind of where the blade needs to be in that direction. I have some more of that square tube. What I think I'm going to do is, because I have to bridge this gap, I got to bring the blade down so that I can rotate it sideways. So I might be able to leave this one that's crowned and all wonky, and what we'll do is we'll just weld some of this to it to space it down, and then have another plate going this way, so when we slide it in, it puts the blade in that orientation. And then we can do this right here, you know, we can split these. All right, yeah, I know I talk too much, but you know, I want you guys to be able to make one of these yourself if anyone's interested, you know, or make something similar. A lot of people suggest I should use a log splitter. The problem is the log splitter is not going to do what I need it to do. You know, there's a lot going on with this setup, and you know, this is going to be a one machine that does it all. But once I get it all dialed in, we're going to start branching off each process into its own individual machine, you know. So there'll literally be, eventually there'll be one station that's just splitting, you know, and we're going to utilize the small blade for this size stuff, but then we're going to make literally probably the biggest guillotine on earth. You know, we're going to have a big boy guillotine because those big giant stators that I put in here, them generators, I plan on getting a lot of them. You know, and even those big transformers, like those big giant copper transformers I had in here, them 3,000 pound ones or whatever it was, or 1,000 pound transformers, I want to be able to split them. So we need like a 4-foot wide guillotine, something with some big boy blade and a lot of stroke. Okay, there you have it. Now, a couple things. One, I welded this tab on here. I didn't want to do that, but I needed something to stop this from moving. I actually tested this and pulled two stators with nothing. Just this sitting here free and nothing in here. And it actually did a really good job. It didn't even move. But now we have that. We're going to need that for the other things. And then when I measured this, I cut this to the length of this plate, thinking it was centered, not really checking whether it was centered or not, and it's about a 1/4 inch off. So these grooves that I cut, I'm actually going to have to kind of expand them over just a little bit because there's weld on the backside here, you know, but it doesn't matter. This thing can just sit there, and with a little bit of pressure, I think I'm only going to have to put one clamp on it. Pretty much centers itself. This one needs to be split, but we're going to put it in here to see if we can't straighten it out. I don't know what happened to this. Something bad happened, but we're just going to clamp it in there, see if it'll fix it. But this will give you a good representation of what we're going for. Oh! It kind of bent it the wrong way. But now we are back to the issue of this thing going up. And I can't put them jacks on there because I had it lowered down. The only thing I can really do is clamp this in place and hope that it stays. I'm going to do that now. And then what we're going to do, we have all of these here that are somewhat split. They kind of got trashed. Some didn't get all the way split. I think this is the one that I did first. This one got really trashed. I don't know if we'll be able to get all that out, but I mean, we'll get the copper out one way or the other. Even if I have to cut that with a grinder a little bit, but we might be able to just run this back through the splitter. But now we have our big V block for splitting with the blade in this direction. But like I said earlier in the video, I think I'm just going to make for these size motors. I think just this with another one of these welded back here with the gap and the splitter sideways. Problem is I'd have to put that's kind of far back. I'd have to put the splitter way back here. I don't know, man. This is all up in the air. Like I said, this is just prototyping to prove the concept. It worked really good. I just pulled out all this little bit of copper and pretty much did it in like 3 pulls, 2 little pulls. So what we're going to be limited on really is the slow hydraulics, okay? We need a faster hydraulic pump. This little eBay special made in China thing is okay. It gets the job done. It's a little higher PSI than we need. We kind of blew the seal, but it's doing the job. Slowly, but surely it's doing the job. This oil here, we recovered out of the AC compressors. These are all the things from the AC compressor. So we're gonna split I think these are gonna come out so easy. And then we're gonna just work our way up to those big boys there. So now that we have this thing just set up like this, I'm gonna go ahead and pull the ones that are free. All these, we'll start with this one. See if we can't liberate that. These are gonna have to wait until we get the splitter back up again. I mean, that one, I don't know. These are gonna be a little tough, but we can definitely do these ones here, and then we'll have to split that. Alright, I'm going to call that one. Get a copper one in there. Oh yeah. Now, the reason I wanted it a couple inches up, oh, okay, that's why we need a clamp. Okay, let's try that again. Much better. That's the way it's supposed to be. Gotta be careful. This thing winds down a little bit. Oh yeah. Like butter. All copper. Yeah, this thing still rotates a little bit, and it likes to crush. Oh, one pull. Look at that. That's beautiful. Whoop. Wrong way. This one's a little deformed. Good, I got the other one in one pull. Nice, okay. Whoops. I'm gonna need an up and down sticker. Those were the half copper, half aluminum. Okay, we got one more ready to go. Okay, this claw here is a little overkill for this stuff. Like I said in previous videos, we will be making a couple different ones of these. Okay, so just pulled all that copper, and a couple of these I'll have to go through and pull these out. Those are a sad sight, but this thing's working exactly how I envisioned it. I raised it up so that I can turn this sideways and still clamp and pull. I have to, this would work better with a regular hydraulic setup, like if I had a valve here where I can just kind of ease it down. This thing I can do that with it like this, but it's very, I mean, it's not forgiving. This 100-ton is just gonna crush whatever. We don't really wanna crush them here, we're just holding them, you know? And it's not much force to pull these little ones out. It's actually pretty easy. So it's getting pretty late. I think I'm gonna call it for tonight because this is gonna be a process, especially when I get to those. I got to change over to the blade, which that's going to be easy. That just pushes out and pushes in, but then I have to set that up. I'm probably going to have to raise the machine back up to the higher setting for the blade, which means I have to undo all these clamps I just did. And you know, it's probably like 2 o'clock in the morning at this point. So we're going to save it for another day. Plus, I have another thing that I'm going to bring over that I want to split. Oh, before we go, let's try some transformers. Okay, well that's an unfortunate situation. Wow. I'll try it. Let's just see. Okay. Now obviously this transformer is small enough I could just flip it over and knock that out. But I'm just curious if I can even grab it. This is where one with a beak would come in handy. Yeah, that's unfortunate. We'll have to put that in the vise or make another thing. The dude actually had one for holding transformers, and it was basically like this, but it was flat. It wasn't angled like this, it was literally flat. I don't see me doing a lot of the transformers like this, so I don't know if I'm gonna make one. I mean, I might just to have it in case I come across a bunch of them. It was literally like this, but it was like, you know, flat, and he just came down on it straight, you know. Oh, I wonder if I put it in there like that. My problem is I can't grab this. I need one with a beak, you know, a little pincher to get in there. This one here is not, I don't think it's going to cooperate. Oh, there we go. There you go. That's a nice little nugget there. So this setup here can do transformers. We're gonna have to place them in there in a sketchy way. Oh yeah. Man, that was tough. Nice little nugget of copper. All right, come this far. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. We're gonna come back tomorrow morning and we're gonna mess with this stuff here. And I have 2 or 3 other things we're gonna put in this machine and see if we can't split them and pull the copper out. So stay tuned for that. And any suggestions or ideas, and you know, let me know what you think about this redneck engineering we got going on over here. You know how I'm always up for comments and suggestions and stuff like that. So again, come this far, thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one. I'll tell you where we're going, right to the scrap yard. Watch it. Look, it's dancing. You ever seen your copper dance before?